Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. 6 or so months ago, my cousin Natalie was kicked out of home for being a lesbian. Together, the cousins pitched in 15,000 AUD to help Natalie land on her feet. And against all odds, she seems to have been able to do just that. She is in the final year of her commerce degree, has a part-time job as a secretary at an accounting firm, and rents a share house with a group of her close mates. She seems to be much happier now than she was this time last year. But life hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. A part-time salary in conjunction with whatever welfare Natalie is eligible for just isn't enough for a full-time student to support herself. So a fortnight ago, Natalie made a plea to the cousins for further financial assistance, which we happily provided to the sum of an additional 10,000 AUD. I personally donated 5,000 AUD of this, 25,000 AUD total. Of course, this money was given without strings. But I did expect the money to be spent towards essentials. That's a fair expectation, right? So I was rather taken aback when Natalie showed up at my house for a catch-up with the cousins last weekend, wearing a Cartier love ring on her finger. I asked whether it was a gift from a girlfriend, but Natalie said she bought it for herself to commemorate surviving this atrocious year, which, I don't know, just didn't stand right with me. It turns out the ring cost 3,000 AUD, which is a ducking ludicrous sum to be spending on jewelry when you literally just begged for charity 2 weeks prior. Maybe I should have kept my opinions to myself, and maybe because I didn't makes me an a-hole. I don't know, you decide. But I spoke up, and Natalie quickly became defensive, asking rhetorically whether the donations came with conditions. Of course it didn't, but surely when you're asking for financial assistance, it's because you're struggling to make ends meet. Not because you want to finance an expensive piece of jewelry, no? The conversation developed further with her claiming that I am financially A-ing her by trying to control her with the donation. Here's where I really ducked up. I angrily told her she's not welcome in my home anymore, which of course triggered the trauma of being kicked out by her parents. Natalie stormed off, yelling that she'll pay me back the 5,000, which isn't what I wanted at all. Look, I feel really bad. But at the same time, I can't help but feel that a $3,000 jewelry purchase just shouldn't be on the cards for her right now. Am I wrong? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Financial help doesn't come with conditions. It does, however, come with certain expectations. If you beg for money because you aren't making it on your own, and spend 1/3 of that on a ring, people are obviously going to question if you needed the money, or were simply manipulating them financially. It's rude as hell. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your cousin is a scammer, honestly. Have you spoken to her parents? Financially A-ing her? She's trying to gaslight you. I'm not a fan of shaming people who need assistance for having things that some would consider a luxury. But this isn't the case here. You and your cousins gave her 10,000 USD when she said she was desperate for the money and spent 30% of it on expensive jewelry. That is a slap in the face, and you had every right to question it. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. The people saying everyone sucks here seem to agree that the money was given without strings attached, so you can't be mad she spent it on ridiculous jewelry purchase. However, your cousin misrepresented her financial situation and used the proceeds to buy something unnecessary. So basically, she lied to you and your cousins and took advantage of your kindness, all for the sake of a gaudy piece of jewelry. Presented this way, I don't see how you're even a little bit the a-hole. And I wouldn't be even a little bit surprised if the majority of the second donation was spent on frivolous things rather than necessities. So, a few years ago, my friend, we'll call him Matt, sold me a watch his grandfather had left him. We were roommates at the time, and my friend was planning on proposing to his now wife. The problem was that he did not have the money for a ring. At that time, I had a good amount of money saved up and offered to loan him the amount he needed, about 2.5K. He did not want to go down that route, so we decided to find some way else. This is where the watch comes in. Matt's grandfather had left him a Rolex he had bought in the 40s. It was in pretty poor condition and did not work at all. But even in that state, it was a pretty killer wristwatch. Matt claimed he didn't really care about it that much, and he only kept it because his grandfather had left it for him. But I always thought it was pretty cool. So instead of me loaning him the money, I offered to buy it from him. Before this, we did get it appraised, and were told that if we got it repaired and refurbished with authentic parts, it could be worth around $5,000. But in the state it was worth maybe $200. Matt sold me the watch for $2,000 under the assumption I would fix it myself to make my money back on it. Afterwards, he proposed and soon moved out, but we did stay friends. After I bought the watch, I paid a large amount to have it fixed up. I actually love this watch now. I wear it all the time now. After I got it fixed up, I had it appraised again, and it turns out the watch is valued at around $15,000 now. Over time, me and Matt did get pretty distant, but tried to keep in touch. This weekend, though, I was invited to a party by a friend, and Matt showed up as well. Me and Matt did catch up, and I was wearing the watch. He noticed it and was shocked by how well I fixed it up. We talked for a bit, and he asked me what it was worth, and when I told him, he got a little upset and started to avoid me at the party. As the party was winding down, Matt grabbed me and pulled me aside. He told me that he always regretted selling me the watch, and that ever since his son was born, he realized he gave away the one thing he had to pass down to him that was his grandfather's. He offered me what I had originally paid him for it, and said that I should sell it back to him. I obviously refused, and he then told me that I had ripped him off. He claimed that I had taken advantage of him to steal a valuable family heirloom, and that I should do the right thing and give it back. I told him to duck off and left the party. On the drive home, I received a text from his wife telling me that I'm an a-hole and that I'm stealing their son's only chance of knowing his grandfather with an attached picture of her son. Matt has called me twice since then, and I plan to keep ignoring him. I don't feel like I'm in the wrong here, but after telling a coworker the story, she says I'm in the wrong, so now I'm doubting myself. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. He's being cheeky thinking he can buy it back for the same amount. Tell him he can buy it back for $15,000, or if not, then that's it. Not the a-hole. He easily could have had the watch appraised himself to know its true value once it had been repaired. Instead, he wanted quick cash to buy an engagement ring, knowing full well he was selling a family heirloom. He made his own decision. You didn't rip him off. Honestly, you gave him a fair deal considering you paid significantly over what the watch cost at the time. He's just salty now in hindsight. You're good, and honestly, I wouldn't sweat the friendship if that's how he's going to play it. Not the a-hole. The fact that he wanted to know what it was worth prior to asking to buy it back leads me to believe that he'll sell it for the money anyway. If he's been worried about an heirloom, he shouldn't have sold it in the first place. My husband's grandma died in early 2000s. She owned a tiny house with no mortgage. Immediately after her death, I think before the funeral, my brother-in-law and his then-girlfriend moved into the house. My father-in-law is the executor of Grandma's will, but to this day, he has never filed the paperwork to probate the will. My brother-in-law and his now wife and their 2 kids continue to live in this house for free. My husband has asked my father-in-law several times over the years about this house and who owns it, and every time he would get angry and either say, "Don't worry about it," or "I own it." My husband and I have long suspected that Grandma left all or part ownership of the house to him, and that's why father-in-law hasn't probated the will. This house has been a major source of contention with the family, and is the primary reason my husband has no contact with brother-in-law. Other reasons too, but this is the big one. Brother-in-law and his wife are in their 40s and have never paid rent. They go on vacations and have a BMW. My brother-in-law has every video game console and toy gadget you could imagine. My husband confronted his dad again about the house, and surprisingly, he admitted Grandma left the house to both my husband and brother-in-law, and immediately offered us money to buy my husband out of the house. He got very nasty and argumentative with my husband about the house's value, and refused to get a CMA. They tentatively agreed upon a low number, but my husband told him he was going to get a CMA. We've talked about it, and I don't want to take his dad's money. Father-in-law's plan is to buy us out of the house with his own money, guilted my husband that he's going to be hurting by doing this, and in return, we would sign away our rights to the house. Additionally, we got the CMA, and the house is worth significantly more than the value my father-in-law is giving. So we would get less than half the value of the house, and my brother-in-law would get the full value. This does not seem fair to me. Also, my father-in-law said he would be deducting the money he gives us from our portion of his estate. So now we are losing out twice. My father-in-law thinks I'm the a-hole because I'm the one who has made all this an issue, and my husband wants what's fair, and sees my side, but thinks it would be easier to just take the money. I don't think I'm the a-hole because I want my father-in-law to do things properly and probate the will and deed it to my husband and brother-in-law, or sell it for him or buy us out of the house. Not the a-hole. And hire a lawyer, now. They are trying to screw you out of a lot of money. You need a lawyer ASAP. Failure to probate the will within a timely manner is a criminal offense. Your brother-in-law has been living rent-free for nearly 20 years. Your husband is entitled to half of the value of the house, plus penalties. Don't let them get away with it. If you do nothing, your father-in-law will cheat your husband again by cutting him from his estate. Your father-in-law doesn't love your husband, so sadly there is no relationship to ruin. Please at least sit down with a lawyer and discuss your options before rolling over for a lower amount of money. The father-son relationship is toast anyway. Not the a-hole. They are cheating you out of your inheritance. Unfortunately, you're going to lose something in this, because I suspect if you push to get the house, which you are owed, your father-in-law will write you out of the will and give your brother-in-law your husband's share because he needs it more. When I was about 7 or 8, my parents divorced and my father moved to Alaska, for work initially. He loved me and visited me often. I talked to him always growing up, weekly to bi-weekly or whenever I just needed my dad. So despite the distance, we were close my whole life, and he was my father, my mentor, and my best friend. About 7 years ago, he got remarried, and she seemed like a nice enough woman. No hard feelings. People remarry. That's life, right? And I wanted him to be happy. Around 2018, he got sick. Renal kidney failure. Tough old bastard that he was. Black Desert Storm vet. He was convinced that he was going to beat it without having to do dialysis. In November of 2020, he passed away. This shattered me, but he raised me to keep going despite the pain. Job's got to get done, Bubba. I immediately flew to Alaska to bury my father. When I got there, his widow was stricken with grief, but we worked together to get it done. She personally handed me his personal effects, property. Among them was a gold Rolex, Oyster, he had bought when Obama first became president, well before he got remarried. He always said that when he passed it was going to be mine and to take care of it, to give it to my son one day, that it was more than just a Rolex. It commemorated the first black president. The life insurance was settled and payments were made. She did get more than myself, which is fine. To be honest, I still just want my old man back. I came home and had the Rolex restored to like new conditions. I can't bring myself to wear it. It doesn't feel like mine. I said thanks for everything, wished her the best, and we went our separate ways. Well, about 6 months after he passed, his widow must have found the paperwork or something regarding the watch, because she is now demanding that I return it. She called me screaming that I may have been his son, but she was his wife, and that I needed to send it back to her along with his jewelry and everything else she handed me. She threatened to get other parties involved if I didn't. Being my father's son, I less than politely declined, while stringing together creative vulgarities, and told her to get a lawyer. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She's right. You are a son, born with his blood, and known him longer than she did. As his wish was for you to have it, she has no other say in it. And if she doesn't like it, well, as my favorite saying goes, die mad about it. You could have reacted better, but honestly, she's lucky to have gotten a response at all. Not the a-hole. It was your father's wish that you have it, and she followed that. She probably figured it was some worthless, except sentimental, junk that she'd not have wanted to be bothered with. Later, she found out how much it was worth, and showed her true, greedy self. You owe her nothing. She already got the majority of the estate. Sure, she can try and sue, but anyone can for anything. I doubt she'd win. You did the right thing. I'd block her everywhere from contacting you. Not the a-hole. She clearly discovered how much it was worth and now wants it back. She gave it to you as she should have, and it should end there. Do not give any of it back to her. My girlfriend and I are both in a pretty expensive private college. We've been dating since October of last year, and honestly, I'm so close to telling her that I love her. But right now, I feel like I've been lied to. In short, my parents make a lot of money and send me money while I'm in school. Sometimes it's more than I need, so I'll spend it getting some high-end stuff like Balenciaga or some nice Nikes. Just your run-of-the-mill streetwear fan. And she always had nice stuff too, but she was always a bit shy to tell me about her home life. Well, since we were moving back into school, I thought I'd swing by and meet her family and help her move in. But after talking, her parents don't make enough for her to afford anything she has. Her brother told me everything about how her mom has been unemployed for years, and her dad is a middle school teacher. She came clean that everything is a fake or a rep. Well, she gives me gifts like a wallet and some shoes that apparently are also fake. I overreacted and said some things I shouldn't have. I regret saying that she's just brand hungry and only cares about the label, which is why I think I'm the a-hole. And before anyone comes at me, I buy brand name stuff too, but it's all within what I can afford. I'm not walking around with some fake expensive watches when all I can afford is a Walmart watch. That's lying, and I feel lied to now that I'm roped into it with my fake stuff as well. I left and we haven't spoken since. And to be clear, I'm not mad that she makes less money. I'm just mad that she lies about it. Am I the a-hole? Yes, the a-hole. She may have gotten into a prestigious school, but she can't afford the prestigious lifestyle. So, to avoid having to be seen as lesser among her peers, she bought fakes. Apparently fakes so good that a brand-hungry fan of streetwear couldn't tell. Which seems suspicious to me. You found out because you butt into her family life before she was willing to share that, and you judged her for the fact that her family is less well off than yours. Maybe if you love her, don't be shallow. I mean, it sucks that she feels the need to perform for her peers to such a level, but you're not great from the perspective of someone who is meant to value who she is. Normally, you'd think you'd reassure her that you don't care about the materialistic things. Instead, you showed her just how important materialistic things are to you, while not being able to spot a fake. Yeah, the a-hole. No wonder she wasn't saying anything. You suck getting mad because your Supreme belt was a legitimate Supreme belt. Who cares? At least you have someone who wants to get you crap. You know she can't afford it. At least she put the effort in. Yes, the a-hole. The fact that you felt the need to note that you are in an expensive college, and the way you detailed all the brands you spend money on, shows you care about this sort of crap very much. She obviously felt that she had to spend money she didn't have to impress you. Why the duck do you care if the brand isn't real?